All right, YouTube, this is Detroit's HPTV coming to you out of Detroit, back with another video. And this one hits close to home because it's talking about Detroit, Highland Park, Wayne County. That's where I'm born and raised. Now, we know here in Detroit, we've been under the thumb of the liberals for the longest. I did a video talking about Rashida Tlaib and Sri Tanadar and these immigrants who have found their way in positions of power and authority over our communities. You know, and if you look at the steady decline of Detroit, and I'm not talking about downtown. Of course, we got one of the most beautiful downtowns. But when you get to talking about 6 Mile, 7 Mile, Highland Park, Brightmoor, the East Side, we're talking about decay. We're talking about neglect. Everybody during COVID, they loved Gretchen Whitmer. She appealed to you. They was calling her Big Gretch, buying her Cartier glasses, supporting this liberal woman. But she did nothing for Detroit. Detroit has been on a steady decline. And now they say the feds are coming to Wayne County. And if you're from Detroit, you know Wayne County is us. If you're from Highland Park, you know Wayne County is us. So the feds are coming to Wayne County because they say that people who are not alive have been voting. That's right, dead people on the ballots, voter fraud. While everybody's running around talking about the right is suppressing votes, they're uncovering that it's the liberals consistently with the shenanigans, with the virtue signaling, with the stirring up your ancestors in the civil rights movement while they play on you, using your trauma and your emotionalism to get in office and they do nothing for you, playing you like suckers. So you got Big Gretch, she don't want to turn over the ballots. If you didn't do nothing wrong, why won't you turn over the ballots so they can see that everybody that voted was alive? A lot of you maybe don't care, but you care about what's going on in your communities. You look at the violence in Detroit. Summer ain't even here, but every time you turn on the news, somebody is losing their life. Some young person is losing their life. All the missing children in the Wayne County area. The lack of police funding. The lack of resources that we need in our communities that's non-existent. But you see, they always got some type of gimmick to sell you about what they're going to do. And they're only going to build up downtown. Because you keep allowing these liberals to play on you, to play on your emotionalism. And your community is getting worse. And they give you somebody else to blame. You can say, oh, blame the Republicans. Okay. It's enough blame to go around. But what about your own sense of self-determination? I'm not ever asking you to choose either party. Period. I'm asking you to choose yourself. Be aware of what's going on with these local politicians that's playing on you. These jack-leg, chicken-eating preachers that take your money and do nothing. You got to think about it. How long you go? I mean, it seems like we've already lost a whole generation of children to violence. They can't write in cursive. You got a city like Highland Park that don't even have a high school. How you don't have a high school? A whole city without one high school. But you keep voting for them. So without further ado, I want you to watch this clip. And it's from the Paralegal Institute in Washington, D.C. And see what's coming to Wayne County. Detroit. Come on now. It's Detroit versus everybody. Gretchen Whitmer, she's in Lansing. She's with everybody. She ain't with the Detroiters. So without further ado, this is for commentary and education under the 1976 Copyright Act. This for my homies. Look at this.
And we're back. Y'all. Thank you for watching today. Go ahead and hit that like button, my people. You know that it helps us out a ton. And of course, it helps you because it helps us keep bringing you these stories every day. Now, y'all, the feds are coming. The feds are coming to Michigan behind those 2020 ballots, y'all. A fight is a brewing. And here in this video, you are going to see one of the top officials in the Department of Justice. That's the United States Department of Justice, saying that Michigan better get their act together, y'all, or the feds are going to be coming after them. Again, this is all about the 2020 ballots that the federal government says they have a right to see, to inspect, and Michigan is fighting back, particularly Wayne County. They're saying, no, you don't. No, you don't. So there you go. They're at odds, y'all. So we're gonna take a look at that today. And also, after the federal government issued a letter saying, yo, send us the ballots, and in Wayne County's reply, they said, not only won't we, but Wayne County also said, don't try to do us like Fulton County. Wayne County is aware that the federal government might be about to mount up an FBI raid into Wayne County, y'all. So all of this is very interesting. It's going to be a quick, tight video, y'all, but we're going to touch on everything you need to know. So without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it.
Well, based on these are the most badass pants you will find. They're also waterproof. Yes, even the pocket.
But we're going to touch on everything you need to know. So without further ado, y'all, let's go ahead and get into it.
Well, based on the letter the DOJ sent to Wayne County, they're asking for all ballots from the 2024 general election to ensure no election laws were broken. However, Attorney General Dana Nessel says they've already proved that election was secure. The DOJ listed 3 cases of convicted voter fraud in Wayne County during the 2020 election to justify looking into 2024's election procedures, but Nessel says those convictions show that the process worked.
More than 800,000 votes were cast. There were these 3 claims, but the percent of fraudulent votes was 5 zeros into a fraction of a percent.
The DOJ also cited allegations of election fraud in Detroit from a 2020 lawsuit filed by the former chairwoman of the Wayne County Republican Party. Nessel says these allegations not only failed to address Wayne County as a whole, but they were also ruled meritless. Traugott says the evidence in the DOJ's letter doesn't give them much leverage to get what they want.
3 or 4 cases out of 800,000 votes, and a lawsuit that was filed but was discharged without consideration, doesn't do the job.
Okay, so Wayne County is telling the feds, yo, we're not going to comply. They're saying no. They're saying absolutely no. They're saying HE double hockey stick no, if you feel me. But, okay, so what is all... Okay, so for the critics, for the people who don't believe in the feds' angle, in the feds' reason that they're giving for wanting these ballots, what do they think? What is this really all about, according to them?
Traugott says the DOJ's real reason behind collecting 2024 election records is to hurt voter turnout in future elections.
It's saying that there's a lot of fraud in the registration files. This would serve their purpose of trying to suppress turnout in 26 and or 28.
And the DOJ said in that letter, Wayne County...
I disagree. It's not trying to suppress voter turnout. It's trying to suppress fraud. Because if they know that we're already looking at you about fraud, then they're going to cross their T's and dot their I's. It's preemptive because we already know that when you're dealing with the liberals and you're dealing with the leftists, they will try to maintain power by any means necessary. And if they can sell to the public at large that this is a frivolous allegation, then you go for it. Because you don't want to use your critical thinking. Allegations don't come from nowhere when they ask them to see the ballots. Show us the ballots. He's saying only 1% that they found was fraudulent, but why you won't show the ballots? If there's nothing there, then you can say, okay, you guys wasted your time. It was a frivolous investigation. So turn it over. You know, this obstinate, I'm going to just be defiant on the sake of being defiant is a playoff. It's a fake form of social militancy. We're not going to confirm and show you the ballots because there's nothing there. Come on, y'all going for that? If there's nothing there, you're going to show them. especially if you a legal representative. You the law. Follow the law.
He has until April 28th to turn over those ballots. However, Attorney General Nessel made it clear in her response that won't happen willingly. Reporting in Detroit, I'm Jack Springate, CBS News Detroit.
All right, now the point person for the Department of Justice is Harmeet Dillon, y'all. She is no joke. I would not want to be on her bad side. This lady comes with fire. She does not play, y'all, and she's telling Wayne County and Michigan in general, she's like, yo, y'all gonna turn over these ballots. You're gonna turn them over. We will get them. And this is what has the Michiganders, the Wayne Countyers, so shook, y'all, because Harmeet, they know Harmeet comes. They know that when Harmeet comes, it's not to play, y'all. Let's take a look at Harmeet. We're going to hear from Harmeet directly.
We've gone and asked all 50 states in the District of Columbia to give us their voter rolls. This is something that the Attorney General is entitled to under the Civil Rights Act of 1960, which is basically a transparency statute. And we're using those to try to help these states comply with their Help America Vote Act requirements to keep their voter rolls up to date. So far, at least a third of the states have complied with us voluntarily or reached settlements with us. And what we're running and finding in these voter rolls is that there are hundreds of thousands of dead people on the voter rolls, and there are quite a few suspected non-citizens on the voter rolls. And now we're digging in further to see do people actually vote and what have you. But that's alarming, and that is from the states who are cooperating with us. So imagine what the ACLU and these other groups are trying to hide vis-a-vis the states that are not cooperating with us. And what you're going to find in states like California, where in Los Angeles County, for example, in 2017, they already admitted to Judicial Watch that they had over 1 million people on the voter rolls out of 10 million who didn't belong there. So those are pretty staggering numbers when you think about how elections, like the 2020 election, for example, was really decided by tens of thousands of votes in half a dozen counties. So this is no joke. And it's really important that we get to the bottom of this. We have transparency, and voters are entitled to that.
Okay, so there Harmeet sets up the legal basis for her request, for the DOJ's request, for the DOJ's demand. Should we call it a demand? Give us the ballots, Wayne County, is what the DOJ is saying. But she didn't mention Wayne County there, y'all, but she is. She's...
Now, if you're from Detroit, I know you're asking, why Wayne County? Why not Oakland County, Macomb County, Washtenaw County? Wayne County is a predominantly black county. Detroit, predominantly black. Highland Park, predominantly black. Why are the feds so focused on Wayne County in Michigan? What's going on in our communities with voting and with leadership that we're under investigation, and our so-called representatives are saying, no, we're not going to help the investigation. We're not going to comply. Think about that.
I'm going to specifically point out Michigan right now.
And I think the state that you're locking heads with...
I just got paid $62,000 for my car accident using nothing.
The state that you're locking heads with that's important to call out is Michigan. So you have a letter that you sent to the county clerk, and you want the ballots from the November 2024 federal election in Wayne County. But you've got Governor Gretchen Whitmer refusing to hand over the data. She says that the DOJ is trying to take away the constitutional rights of people in Michigan to vote. It just seems that there is a reason here that is deeper than that. She's accusing the president of weaponizing the Justice Department. Talk to us about how Gretchen Whitmer has any legal authority to prevent you from seeing these records, Harmeet.
The idea that anybody like Gretchen Whitmer can talk with a straight face about weaponizing the Department of Justice after the revelations that we've seen out of this Department of Justice in recent weeks is really laughable. But that be that as it may, just looking at the logistics here, she sent this letter, the Attorney General of Michigan, a lot of bombast, posturing, and hand waving. But that's a distraction from the fact that she doesn't seem to actually have a client here. It's not clear that she's representing Wayne County. And we have a right to get these records from Wayne County. And our citations in our complaint, our letter complaining about why we need this, include at least three instances of improper voting conduct in that jurisdiction from the 2020 election, as well as alleged improprieties that I think I and other election lawyers identified very clearly in prior elections, including the 2020 election, where in Michigan, observers who are entitled to observe by law were barred from doing so. And so we intend to get these records, and we intend to get to the bottom of what's going on with these sloppy record keeping and inconsistent procedures in these states. Because what happens when you have these types of loosey-goosey procedures is people lose confidence in the outcome of elections, and then they don't vote. That's a bipartisan problem, and we need to put a stop to it.
And again, Wayne County, y'all, they understand that there is a precedent already for the DOJ or for the federal government to go in and just snatch the ballots. They're like, yeah, we're just gonna snatch them under an FBI raid, y'all, under a criminal warrant, right? They just go in and snatch them like they did in Fulton County. And Wayne County, let's be honest, they're shook by that. So in their reply to Harmeet Dillon, they actually said, don't try to do us like Fulton County. Like, we're not Fulton. Don't try to do the Fulton on us, y'all. So high stakes, high level legal back and forth here, y'all. CNN reports Michigan Attorney General rejects Trump administration ballot request amid broader push to challenge elections. Michigan's Attorney General is rejecting an effort by the U.S. Justice Department to obtain ballots and other voting materials from the Detroit area, a target of the Trump administration's efforts to probe elections in states that the president falsely claims he won in 2020. Harmeet Dillon, the DOJ's Assistant Attorney General for Civil Rights, sent a letter to the clerk who oversees elections in Wayne County, which is Michigan's most populous county, on Tuesday, requesting she turn over all ballots, ballot receipts, and ballot envelopes from the 2024 election within 2 weeks. So this says 2024. Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel responded on Friday, calling President Donald Trump and his allies' claims of widespread voter fraud baseless, and warning that state leaders stand ready to defend against these claims and any attempt to interfere in Michigan's elections. Now, here's a letter that Dana Nessel sent to Harmeet Dillon. Let's just take a look at a little bit of what she said. She said, "Dear Assistant Attorney General Dillon, since returning to office, President Trump has continued to insist the 2020 presidential election was stolen, citing the same conspiracy theories rejected by courts across the country and pressuring the Department of Justice to investigate these claims. Acceding to this pressure, on January 28, 2026, the Federal Bureau of Investigation executed a search warrant in Fulton County, Georgia, seizing original materials related to the 2020 presidential election. The Michigan Department of Attorney General was recently made aware of your April 14th letter to Wayne County, styled as a demand under 52 U.S.C. 20703, demanding the ballots and related materials from the 2024 election based on similar conspiracy theories dating back to 2020. At the same time, the state of Michigan has also featured in President Trump's commentary. So y'all here you notice that Michigan is referring to Fulton County. It looks like they're afraid they're going to be raided, y'all. Look here, she mentions Fulton County, the Fulton County search warrant. So let's just jump down to the end. It says, your letter is premised on rejected claims and stale allegations unconnected to Wayne County's November 2024 election. As a result, it fails to set forth a factual basis sufficient to satisfy the requirements of Title III, much less suggest any substantive issue in that election. So she is rejecting the Department of Justice's request for those ballots, y'all. So if there's one thing I know about Harmeet, y'all, she does not play, right? She's no joke. And I would say she's gonna get her hands on those ballots, y'all. She's gonna get her hands on those ballots. If I were in Wayne County, I would try to figure out a solution. Like, look, can we give you some copies? You know, what can we do? Can we just allow you into the room to inspect them, figure something out. So what do you think? Who do you think is going to win this legal battle? Is it going to be Harmeet and the DOJ, or is it going to be the Wayne County Michiganders? Y'all let me know. Drop a comment down below. But before you do, please stop, hit the share button.
Shout out to the Paralegal Institute out of Washington, D.C. What do you think? This ain't no conspiracy theory, because if it was just a theory, they could easily dispel that theory with turning over the ballots. And if you're from Detroit and Wayne County, you already know that corruption is there. They caught a politician stuffing the ballot box in Hamtramck a few months ago that was actually running, filling the box with fake ballots. So, again, as we sit here and watch our communities descend and decay, and these politicians that you latch on to because they talk good, we're finding out that they're all crooks. They're all in on the scheme. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok. All those things that Malcolm said. Malcolm X told you, don't trust the liberal. Malcolm told you that. Martin Luther King told you that the liberal was an impediment. These liberals play like they're your friend and betray you immediately and actually put immigrants before you. But you want to keep voting, and you think that this smoke here, there's no fire behind it. I guess we'll see. And this Detroit's HPTV, signing to you out of Detroit. Y'all better keep your head on swivel for real. Peace.